right, hello. My name's Felix. If you guys don't know, I'm from Ledger, and yeah, we'll be trying to answer a bunch of the questions you might have. I'm just going to take this off. Let me know if the audio is okay, but yeah, we'll get right into it and go from there. First question that I had from Rhett Richardson mentioned that you actually clicked on an NFT in your Ethereum account when you're trying to hit 3 buttons to hide it. Are you okay? And then go to any website or give your words away or anything like that, which is really good. One thing I actually forgot to mention, it's been some time, if you guys don't know, please don't give out your recovery phrase and don't sign any transactions you don't trust. But in terms of you accidentally clicking the NFT, so specifically going onto Ledger Live and viewing the NFT, nothing wrong with that in particular. You wouldn't want to go to any of the websites, exactly like you mentioned, but it wouldn't be something that generally would affect you or affect the security of your assets. What normally is happening when you're getting scam NFTs is that they're looking to have you interact with it on chain specifically. So if you send it somewhere, if you try to burn it, for example, those are the things that the scammers might be trying to get you to do. And those are things you should avoid for sure. So based on what you've mentioned to me, there shouldn't be any issue with that whatsoever. And hiding it is exactly the perfect thing that we'd also normally recommend as well. So easy stuff. Next up is just have fun. You mentioned when you stake Atom on Ledger, the rewards will not auto compound. So I'm assuming that you would like for them to auto compound, if I understand. That wouldn't be something that wouldn't be the way that you would claim the rewards. It would not automatically compound. I can pass it on as feedback if you'd like, but I think that would, I don't know. I'd have to think about how that would work and how they'd have to build that in particular. It might be something else. But yeah, definitely will take that on. You would normally just have to actually claim the rewards when you, as they build up, which would be a transaction on chain and therefore, you know, cost some fee to pay for transactions. All right. Next up, Tech World. You mentioned, when are you guys going to do XRP saving rewards? I'm not sure what that would be in particular. If it's some kind of way to earn yield, it might be something that it wouldn't be something that we'd provide necessarily the service for. But yeah, I can definitely, it's not something that is on the horizon as far as I'm aware, but yeah, we can always take on that feedback for your Tech World. Not something I'm aware of at all. Mr. NK85, you mentioned when will I be receiving the Ledger Stax? I've been waiting since March. Indeed, yeah, I don't have any specific time frame to be able to say exactly when it's going to be out. Keep an ear out on on socials for us. The moment I hear I'm allowed to say anything, or if I hear anything even, then I'll be telling you guys for sure, but I don't have any time frame for when that's going to be. Generally, you should have received an email if you had pre-ordered the device with regards to that as well. So you can have a look at that, or just contact us and we can go through the specifics of that email as well if you want. David Floyd, why do scan NFTs show up on my account, and how does one get my info? Can this be blocked? So scan NFTs are sent to you because you may or may not have had some kind of activity on chain, so they know someone's behind that address. Now, how do they get your info? Remember that your addresses are all public on chain. So I can go up to any address as long as I have that address, right, the full address. I can go into a block explorer and look at what's happening on chain. So how can they get that info? They might just see that you've made a transaction recently. You can go to the latest block and see who's made a transaction. You might want to automate it if you're a scammer, for example. Not to say that you should, of course, but that's how they might get that information. they would send you an NFT, or they'd send a whole bunch of people NFTs in the hopes that you would interact with this NFT. Just like I think it was Rhett Richardson, our general recommendation would be to hide the NFT. What would happen if you interact with it on chain? So let's say you try to send it somewhere, would be that you would execute some portion of code on the in the smart contract that someone can put an arbitrary code in there, whatever they want. So it could be an approval for all, could just send your funds, that kind of thing. So generally don't recommend interacting with it on chain. Can you block them? No, because anyone would be able to send you an asset as long as they have your address. Kind of the way it works is that they would just add your address in the smart contract ledger for that NFT to say you have one of this NFT, for example, or a specific NFT number. So it's not something that you can block. But again, what you would be doing is hiding the NFT, the scam NFTs within Ledger Live, and you wouldn't be able to see it, and it wouldn't affect your experience when you're looking at your NFTs within Ledger Live. I know it's a bit annoying. There are definitely a lot that you would get on Polygon because fees are cheap. But yeah, definitely make sure not to interact with them. That's our general recommendation. Always check out the Help Center. If you have any questions about that, there is a step-by-step process for how to hide them. Walls Abasi says, hi, is the Ledger Nano firmware 2.2.3 safe? It is indeed safe. If there's anything specific that you might want to know about, you can always go through to the firmware updates, which is also on our Help Center as well. The firmware update notes, and you can go through that as well. If you have a more specific question, I might, because I can see your subsequent question about the difference between 2.0, 2.2.3. Normally, we'd be either fixing bugs, adding new features, things like that. But you can always check out the firmware notes as well. Next up, we had, I just lost my place. Serkan, hello. I hope I didn't butcher that. Hello. All right, Luciano. How do I swap near on Ledger? You would generally want to use some kind of service. So whether that's, let me check that right off the top, because off the top of my head, I can't remember which networks they're on. Of course, being it's on its own chain, I don't know if it has any it should have some representations on, okay, BNB. So, I mean, if you have NEAR as a BV20 token, essentially, you can swap it with any one of the dexes there for another token. You can potentially use an exchange to swap it. You can obviously, if it's supported, use the swap feature within Ledger Live as well. So you do have a couple of options, just depends on what's specifically supported for the Ledger Live swap in particular. It might depend on your location and what service providers are actually able to offer for you guys. So they'll show what they can and can't swap in particular. But generally, yeah, if you're swapping within a network, so let's say on Arbitrum or on Optimism or something like, or in this case BNB, you might use a DEX. You can use a DEX if you're swapping a token in particular. And yeah. Next up, we had Rakesh. When Artifact Drop will be coming? No news from last year. Yeah, I don't have a date for that either, unfortunately. Same with Dean as well. Sorry, with the Ledger Stax, with what I mentioned before. No specific dates. I did see the Nike collab. I think strolling at some point, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't have a date for that or anything like that. Sorry, I don't have better news. Daybit, I'm assuming 7,000. If something happens to Binance, is your FET token okay on BNB? That would depend on what would happen to the chain. Now, it should be noted that with BNB chain, Binance Smart Chain, or whatever you would mention it as in particular, it does depend, if I remember correctly, on a specific set of validators. So it depends if they want to keep that or not. Might be something better to ask Binance in particular. But I would suspect if they took I would know that if they took those validators or miners down, however you're reaching consensus on the chain, then definitely something would happen in terms of you wouldn't be able to make transactions or anything like that. The blockchain might actually stop. All right. Nemo Hose 323. As you mentioned, well, I wanted to pass this along, but I'm having problems with the HTTP 404 error. Generally, the first thing that I would be thinking about there would be making sure you're on the latest version of Ledger Live. So you can check that with it goes settings in the top right, about, and then version. If you're not on the latest version, I would definitely recommend to update it because there are always going to be things that there might be things rather that, if you're on an older version, there might be bugs there that would affect your experience. That would be the most common thing that I've come across for when you're coming across this 404 error in particular. That would be my first guess as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't clear the cache. That wouldn't change much. I would be thinking maybe about the network connectivity, because 404 does mean that something cannot be found. So in this case, it's probably an API endpoint. If you're on a very old version of Ledger Live, yes, I would definitely recommend updating that. You can actually just install straight over your instance of Ledger Live, and you can do that. Just go to ledger.com and then download it from there. I would not, please do not ever use, let's say, like the Windows Store, the Microsoft Store, to download Ledger Live. There are definitely a lot of fake, fraudulent applications that we are always looking to take down. Again, never put your recovery phrase anywhere digital that isn't the device itself. When you put it directly on the device, it means that essentially you're able to then use the derived private keys to sign your transactions and anything like that, and that then no one can get into that device in particular. Zarkov, it's probably Zarkov X. Is it okay for me not to update my Ledger Live to version 2.71.1? Can it cause issues down the road? It definitely can. I do not want that partial seed recovery. So there's no partial seed recovery feature. It's Ledger Recover is a way that you would use. If you've not heard of Shamir's secret sharing, essentially it's a way that you can imbue the data with properties such that it can be reconstructed, right? And basically it's a service that you would use that if you ever are not able to, if you lost your recovery phrase, is the main selling point, right? So, okay, let me go through this, right? I have talked to customers before where you have your they had their house flooded. Ledger device is gone. The recovery phrase is gone as well. That was stored in the house too, and it's just unreadable or cannot be found. In this case, if someone had used Ledger Recover, what can happen is that they can use, because they've attached it to their identity, what happens is that they can use their identity to verify that it is them. And once they're able to do that, they're able to restore the device. So you're not actually recovering any seed whatsoever. It's not something that is in Ledger Live. So not updating Ledger Live isn't would definitely cause you issues, but isn't the thing that is going to affect you in this case. Also, you would need to pay for this feature as well. So if you don't want to use the feature, it's definitely not something that you would need to pay for, and perfectly fine there. So definitely read the FAQ about this one. The security model for this hasn't changed. You're just as secure as you were before. This is a new feature that Ledger has. For those of you that might want to use it, it's something that you can sign up for. John English, I bought a Nano X 2 days ago and set it up with Ledger Live. All was great, but I can't seem to buy anything. As soon as I press the buy button, it comes up with no network. No network. I downloaded the app again. It worked for a few minutes, then back to square one. Can I get any help from Ledger? Definitely, you can definitely get a hold of us, support.ledger.com. There'll be a purple button on the bottom right-hand side. Not something that I don't think I've come across a no network error message. I'm just trying to think. Obviously, it does seem like your internet is fine, being that you're watching. I would definitely get a hold of us, and we can try to dig deeper about that in particular. Normally, I might be thinking then about like the network connectivity, VPNs, that kind of thing as potential. Could be a bunch of issues there. I wouldn't be 100% about that at this stage, but definitely let us know, and we can try to help resolve that for you. Rob IG, can I update without the Ledger Recover feature or disable this? It is disabled by default, so you don't need to disable it at all. Rob IG, updating. Yeah, you just wouldn't need to disable it because obviously it's already disabled. Johnny English, can you help? Okay. Hopefully, yeah, if you get a hold of us, we'll try to have a chat with you about it and see if we can fix that up for you. Kamal, Nyan and Dale. Sorry, I absolutely destroyed that name. Sorry, but I deposited a link on Ledger on BNB chain or Binance Smart Chain. BP20. Now it shows up as Binance pegged linked. That is exactly what it is. So is there any problem when I want to sell the tokens? It's just that it's because it's not natively on BNB chain, Binance Smart Chain. That's why it's called Binance pegged link token. In terms of problems, it's not necessarily that. I don't think there would necessarily be a problem. Let's say you're using a DEX, because it is you'll use a DEX. You'll probably be able to swap it for the same value. If you want to feel more comfortable, if you want it to be on its native network, you can also either deposit it back onto Binance and then withdraw it on its native network, which Ethereum would be the one, or you can potentially try and bridge that. But I don't know that there are any bridges in particular. You might be able to use Squid. I haven't double checked that myself, but it could be something that you can use. It's definitely in our Discover section. So give that a try if you want to move it over to Ethereum. But generally speaking, it shouldn't be an issue in terms of selling it, as far as I'd be aware. It might be an issue if Binance is under pressure, because it is Binance that is pegging the token to the price, right? But that's definitely something. That's not something that I'm really expecting at the moment. But despite the news. All right. Unwelt. I also have the problem with HTTP 404. Again, yeah, I'd be checking up on the version that you guys have. I'm probably speaking pretty slowly, or I'm rambling a bit. I'm just checking the latest. But yeah, definitely check the update for that one. The version for Ledger Live. Unwelt. All right. Mark, you mentioned, hello, do you know what these live apps do? So you've mentioned app data, ledger Sentry, network. So Sentry, let me check in particular, but obviously they're just to do with Ledger Live. Sentry is application monitoring, so it's just about understanding like what's happening on the application. It's not like we're understanding, you know, we're not able to access anything other than like, okay, you're up and running, that kind of thing, right? So we can always understand how if you guys are experiencing issues, bugs, things like that. Obviously, we want to know. The network, I'm not 100% sure about that folder, but definitely I know Sentry. Yeah, you can even Google it. It's application performance monitoring and error tracking. Checkmate. You mentioned Ledger Live swap history only shows BTC and ETH. When using Changelly, it would be good to show all coins swapped transaction history. I will double check that. If it's only Changelly, I'm assuming maybe you've swapped with a decentralized exchange, maybe, and they're not showing there. But yeah, I can definitely pass that on for feedback for sure. If that's the case, I can imagine that's why they're separated, because the Ledger Changelly swaps, being a centralized swap service as opposed to something like Paraswap or 1inch, which is a decentralized exchange, right? But yeah, definitely pass that on as feedback. Next up was Wals Abasi. How can I transfer Luna Classic from Terra Station to my ledger? So remember, one thing to mention is that the ledger device doesn't hold your coins; they're on chain, right? And so if you want to transfer the assets, you would want to send them to an address where the address is derived from the recovery phrase that's on the device. That's kind of the way. That I like to explain it. So then you're not actually transferring anything onto the device, but to get that onto your ledger, the recovery phrase, get that onto an address that's derived from the recovery phrase that's on the device. You should be able to use Terra Station. Let me just double check. I'm using one hand. I should just Station, Ledger. Don't have everything off the top of my head, annoyingly enough. Yeah, definitely. You should be able to use just Terra Wallet. So this is Terra 2.0. So I'm assuming you said Classic. So let's Luna Classic. But it definitely should be something that if I remember correctly, you should just be able to connect your Ledger device. You normally can import the addresses that you want to look at and make changes to, and then you just have to have the right application to send and receive those. You would be using Rebel Station, which is on our support page. So again, support.ledger.com is the page, and it's the purple button on the bottom right hand side to get a hold of us, or you can use the search bar and go through that as well. At this point, I'm unable to unstake or change node through. When will full staking support be added to for HBAR? At this point, I'm unable to unstake or change node through Hashpack. I wouldn't have any specific dates. Let me just check Hashpack, HBAR staking in particular. Let's have a look. Staking only works on newly created accounts. If you're storing HBAR on existing, please follow. Yeah, no specific time frame, but I'll definitely mention this one as well. Not sure if the issue, where the issue might lie for that one, but yeah, definitely pass that on, Jordan. Sorry, I didn't mention your name before, but yeah, we'll definitely pass that on, 100%. Okay, let's keep going. Where I've lost myself again. Okay, Marco. You mentioned I would like to better understand how the password phrase works. So I'm assuming you mean passphrase. If I set it on my hardware wallet and they steal my seed phrase, can they still access my funds? Right. So I like to think about the passphrase, and there's obviously I'm going to plug the help center as well. There's a help center, and it's actually an academy on Ledger, academy.ledger.com, that I normally link as well if you're talking to me via email. What I would suggest, what would happen here, or how it would work rather, would be, so you have the recovery phrase. That's the thing that would normally derive all of your private keys for all of your accounts. Now, when you add a passphrase, it essentially adds like a salt essentially, or it adds an extra. The next addresses that are going to be derived are going to be completely different, and so if you use the addresses that are derived from the recovery phrase and the passphrase, they're not only completely different, but you would need both the recovery phrase and the passphrase to then generate those private keys and then manage the funds and everything like that. So if you set the passphrase on your hardware wallet, what would happen if they steal your recovery phrase is that as long as the addresses that you're using, so not the existing ones that you might already be using, but the ones that are derived from both the recovery phrase and the passphrase, as long as you're using that address, then they would need both the recovery phrase and the passphrase to manage those assets. I think one of my colleagues mentioned it is kind of like a house where, each the first floor, you go onto the ground floor, you enter, you have the key, and that key is your recovery phrase for the first part. And then you've got all your rooms are your accounts, and each account has its own different private key. When you add a passphrase, you essentially go to a second floor where you have all the different accounts as well, but you still needed the first recovery phrase, and you need the passphrase to be able to access those accounts, essentially. I'm not sure if that's a better way to explain it. I normally like to go through the article as well, but hopefully that does answer your question. Remember, you would not be using the same accounts, just adding the passphrase and then not adding a new accounts to be able to manage, to be able to send the assets there. The passphrase won't do anything in particular. You need to actually first set it up, do the receive process, go to the add account. So you add that account that's derived from both the recovery phrase and the passphrase. So hopefully that helps. Super Adamo, my Ledger app only shows one wallet transaction, but my Ledger Live desktop app can show all my wallets. I cannot figure out how to get both wallets to show on my iPhone app. So there is actually a way to use basically the camera on your phone. You'll scan a set of QR codes on Ledger Live to be able to import those accounts in particular. If I'll just try to remember export accounts, how to move Ledger Live accounts to a new device is the support article that I would refer to in particular. There we go, and it's got the one for mobile as well. So when you go for mobile, essentially you'd be going to import from the desktop, and you'd a QR code or a changing QR code, and it'll import all of those accounts in particular. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. It's Nan Tran Nyok. Is there more discount for Black Friday to come? Everything about Black Friday is on the website at the moment, in particular. So no discounts in particular, but you do see that you get free Bitcoin. All right. Next up, Rob IG, thank you for the questions. Michael, I did repeat it because I did skim the messages, but Michael, the support address is just support.ledger.com, and then you can use the contact us button on the bottom right hand side. Okay, next up is Christy Estrate. How do I get rewards from staked near? The unstake option is unavailable, but withdraw is not in manage option of the staked coins. I know, I'll just double check. Near, again, with the help center, it has nearly everything. We try to make sure we have a help center for everything that we release, all the new features. Just double checking. Unstaking would normally require that you go through to unstake, manage unstake, so it's not there. Definitely get a hold of us. We might need to double check what could be happening there. You might, as a workaround, if you need to do it really quickly, you might want to do it on a third-party wallet as well. I know that there's a Near wallet that you can use where you connect your hardware wallet, your Ledger device, to be able to perform whatever operations as well. So it could be a way for you to work around that for now. Get a hold of us as well, and we'll try to make sure you can do that within Ledger Live too. Matt McGreal, is there a video or resource to convert Flux to Bitcoin? I'm not aware of Flux. CoinGecko. So I'm assuming this is okay. It's its own network. This one you'd probably might be best using using exchange. I'm not 100% familiar if there's going to be some bridge, EVM bridge or anything like that. So in a lot of these cases, you might want to use an exchange, send it over there, exchange it over to Bitcoin, and then have it withdraw as well. So then you're still self-custodying your assets, but then you're able to use the Binance, let's say Binance, for example, or something as a service. I don't know, especially if there might be supported in the swap feature in Ledger Live. It might be good to check there as well. If it doesn't appear, it might not be supported. Okay. Mark asks, when staking through Ledger Live, do we maintain ownership of the coins? Is it safe, or is there a risk of losing them? Now, really good question, but it definitely will depend on what you are staking as well, because each way that you stake can the mechanics can differ from coin to asset to asset to asset, right? So for example, let's say you're staking Ethereum. If you're solo staking, for example, it might be different, where solo staking, you'll essentially be running a validator, or if you're solo staking with a service like Kiln, for example, which is something you can do. At that point, you don't actually retain the actual ETH itself, but what you would retain is the ability maintain control of where you can withdraw that assets, and then the ETH in that particular scenario doesn't change, stays in the contract. However, let's say you're doing something like Solana. Now, I'm a little less familiar with the really in-depth mechanics for Solana, but my understanding would be that you actually delegate voting power or something along those lines. So that's the kind of thing you have to consider. Generally speaking, developers try to consider this, and so in most cases, you would always, as long as you retain, your security of your accounts, so the recovery phase essentially, you're going to maintain the ownership of those assets. There are some cases where you're staking that you might be with the validator or whoever might be slashed. That is a potential scenario where you might lose a portion of those assets. So there's really a lot of things to consider. I could go on for hours about it, and you can go through and read all the specifics for each individual asset that you might be staking. Let's say another risk as well, just to mention it as well, would be like if you're staking Ethereum with someone like a service like Lido, where Lido is the one, essentially their service is that they're offering the infrastructure to run the validators. They're taking care of you not needing to do full chunks of 32 ETH. Who not a lot of people have 32 ETH. So what do? They offer a service where they give you the token in return. Now, if Lido goes out of business, for example, touch wood, then there might be something, you might have an issue there in terms of withdrawing of assets or things like that. It's not to say that, there wouldn't be a solution, but that is a potential risk there. I don't think it's, I'm assuming there would be some kind of fallback there as well. All right. Rambling on a bit too much. I got Sasso here, Sasso Tomsey. Will there be any new assets in Ledger Live available for staking? I wouldn't have any specific assets that I can think about at this stage, but definitely we always like to shout them out and shout from the rooftops when there are new ones. So keep an ear out. Checkmate 1, thank you, Matt, as well, 100%. Checkmate 1, if I decide to stake ETH or SOL from Ledger Earn, can you explain how Earn works? Can I unstake anytime? Again, that depends on what your, it depends on the assets that you're staking, and in this case, ETH and SOL. So ETH in particular, we might want to consider like how much you're staking, what you're staking, who you're staking with, right? Let me just double check, because ETH, I'm just seeing what options come up. Excuse me. In particular. All right, so Ethereum Lido. So for Ethereum Lido, you would, can you unstake at any time? If I understand correctly, if I remember correctly rather, it would be that it would take a little while for the withdrawal to come out. They give you an NFT to redeem at a later date when it's ready. And I think you can check it. I think it's all in the Discover section as well, if I remember correctly, as well. Boom, boom, boom. Just double checking. I have to connect my device. But yes, you would have to get the NFT, and so it might take some time. With Solana, I gotta check the help center, but one would definitely be with a waiting period as well. You can unstake at any time, but you gotta wait before it becomes available for you to actually then send it off and sell it, as well. You check that all on the help center as well. 3JC9, will Ledger ever support HBAR without a third party? Not 100% sure about that. We'll definitely pass that on as a feedback as well, but not something that I would necessarily know 100%. All right. Guys, keep asking questions if you have any. We'll be here to answer anything that you might need help with. If you're having trouble, we'll always try to answer those questions for you, seeing as I've come up to the latest questions. Keep going, and we'll try to get those answered for you as well. But always jump on the help center if you need anything. And there's my colleagues, they definitely work really hard trying to type everything out, try to get as many articles out there for whatever it might be. Trying to be as specific as possible for everything, because the process of managing your assets can be quite opaque. I totally understand that. So definitely here to help. If you guys have any questions, do you know when Casper will be supported on Ledger? No time. We don't necessarily have time frames to be able to give or anything like that. But we always take on the feedback that you guys give, and then pass them on to the devs and everything like that, because we obviously want to give you guys what you want in particular. Other than that, it's been a really spicy week in terms of news in the cryptocurrency industry. Definitely feel how everything's feels like it's picking up again. We got the Friday sale, where you get some free. You get to claim or redeem some Bitcoin. So definitely check that out. That's up until November 27th. Just wanted to double check that. So that's 4 days. So up to $50 of Bitcoin in particular. So pretty cool. If you use the Ledger, if you buy the Ledger Nano Duo, so it's actually a different pack, but it's all on the website. Yeah, absolutely not a better, never a better time to go and purchase those as well. I mean, I've used both of them, the X, the S Plus, and the S, of course, the Absolute Classic. My favorite, I think I have been using the S Plus a lot, because I always have my computer with me, but definitely using the X more recently, and definitely something that I can't recommend enough. I'm obviously biased, but yeah, if you guys make a last call for questions, otherwise we can pop off for the rest of the day in cold, dark Paris. Yeah, please, always here trying to answer any of the questions that you might have. Chuck one on Stephen, and I definitely butchered that. I'm really sorry, but when would Ledger allow for proper grouping of assets for ETH access show up separately? If can be grouped by blockchain, is that a possibility? I'll definitely pass that on. It's not necessarily at the moment that I understand. Wait, let me check my Ledger Live. I thought I'm assuming you mean EVM chains, maybe, because if I remember seeing already at the moment they do group some things together. I'm just having a look now. Oh my god, there's so many transactions. But yeah, let me go sort by nothing. Do I have something there? No. There we go. Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on as feedback. In particular, like multiple accounts. I have 4 ETH accounts. Yeah, I definitely have a lot of ETH accounts in particular. Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on for sure. Could be interesting. Have them all there, and then you can have like a little tree. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll pass that on. That'll be pretty cool. Jay mentioned, I haven't moved my Solana SPL tokens over to Ledger yet. The fact that they don't register in Ledger makes me want to risk it. While they are popping off. Definitely isn't a risk in terms of sending them to a Ledger managed address. Remember, Ledger Live is like the interface, right? So when you want to use, let's say SPL tokens in your case, you can use a third-party wallet like Phantom. Now, we would never import your recovery phrase, but in this case, you'd be able to connect your hardware wallet, add the specific Solana accounts that you want, and then you'll be able to, manage as many SPL tokens as you'd like. Generally speaking, Phantom, Soulflare, if I remember correctly, they'll be able to manage those in particular. So yeah, definitely wouldn't want to risk your assets. You can, use the third-party wallet. Just make sure not to import the recovery phrase, and you're okay from there. Checkmate one, if you have a spare unboxed Ledger Nano X sitting for a year, do you recommend unboxing and charging it even though it's not set up, used as a spare backup in case required? I don't. What do I think about that? That probably could be a good idea, but it's not. I don't think it's necessarily like super. I wouldn't call it like absolutely required necessarily, but definitely could help. You have to get it set up anyway, right? So like no reason not to like go ahead and charge it while you're getting it set up. But if you're using the USB cable, you don't need the battery is not really required. It's only specifically when you're using Bluetooth in particular. So in that case, that's why I think it's less necessary. But again, I'm one of those weirdos that always has a computer with me, and also, yeah, even in when you don't, you can always use like the USB if you have like a USB-C on your phone or something like that. So yeah, definitely could help. In particular, for you there, you're gonna want to have it be set up as well. I would want it set up, just in case you want to use it quickly. Jay, thanks for these lives. Nope, thank you for attending. Well, I'll chat about crypto all the time, right? But you mentioned I have them in Trust Wallet. The SPL tokens, yes. In the meantime, but the news with Binance has been thinking I should move them soon. Move them to a ledger managed address, and you can use the third-party wallets like Soulflare or Phantom, and you're still self-custodying them. Now you're self-custodying them in a hardware wallet, or with a hardware wallet to be really precise there, and then you'll have less to worry about. So in the Trust Wallet case, anyway, I think because it is a software wallet, they have the recovery phrase on the device. I wouldn't. It's not like you're holding it on the exchange as well, right? So you're still self-custodying there, but in this way, you'd be much more secure, right? If someone got into your phone, Trust Wallet is on the phone. I don't know. I haven't actually checked it in a while. But yeah, essentially just use it with your ledger managed address with like any third-party wallet that would support the SPL tokens, and you'll be right as rain from there. Okay. Again, please feel free to jump in and add any questions if you guys had them. Always happy to try and answer anything that you might have. I'm just looking at the Trust Wallet website now. Looks like they have a browser, which I didn't actually know about. But I wonder, I think I remember Trust Wallet Ledger. Let's have a look. The Trust Wallet extension with the Ledger device. Okay, EVM compatible only. That's why. Okay, so you're probably using, you're probably using on the mobile device, I assume. Leonardo, hi. Do you know Chainlink staking? I've not read as much as I wish I would have. If yes, could you help me understand it? On the website, it said it's not proof of stake. There is a pool with max link that can be filed. How do rewards work? No, I wouldn't be comfortable like going through the really nitty gritty of that one. Let's go Chainlink staking. Let's have a look. V.2 launch. I don't know that there's any quick thing that I can read here, but yeah, I really wouldn't feel as comfortable. I can try and look into it and come back, but again, better to go through Chainlink in particular, and maybe their Discord, or be careful if you're using Twitter, but Twitter could help as well, about how that might work. Not something I'm super familiar with as well, but definitely will maybe come back next week. I'll try to read up on it if you want, if you haven't already as well. Checkmate 1. If the battery dies on Ledger, we are able to use USB cable, so don't have to replace with new Ledger if don't use Bluetooth. Exactly. Yeah. I use the Bluetooth even on my Ledger Nano X. I use the cable all the time. So yeah. Sir, can you please tell me where is the use of 24 phrase during send or receive or any? Okay. I'm going to try and rephrase the question because I think I understand. How is the recovery phrase used when you're sending or receiving? So how it would work is that the recovery phrase is a thing that derives the public and private key pair, right? Now, when you're sending, what you need to do is that the recovery phrase first needs to derive the public and private key pairs, most importantly the private key pair, so that you can use that to sign transactions when you're sending. Essentially, when you're sending something in Ledger Live will construct a transaction. It'll send that unsigned transaction to the Ledger device. The Ledger device will say, hey, this is what you're trying to sign. You're trying to send, 1 Bitcoin to my friend. You have these inputs and these outputs. And then the Ledger device will then use that private key to sign the transaction and then send back the signed transaction over to your computer to be broadcast. So that's basically how it sent. In receive, the recovery phrase is then used to make derive the public key. Generally, the public key, the address is some form of the public key, or some derivation of the public key, and then that way, that would just be sent on a set in Ledger Live, for example. It's like, hey, this is the address I want to check, or these are the accounts that this is the account I want to look for, which derives of all, which is composed of all these addresses. For example, in terms of Bitcoin, for example, you'll have a bunch of addresses that will be derived from an extended public key. So hopefully I didn't go too quickly there, but essentially it's used to either get, the address or to sign the transaction, but it never leaves. The recovery phrase doesn't actually, leave the device or anything like that. Leonardo, also, do you know if you can stake Stellar? I searched and found Binance article where they found that if they supported Stellar staking. I didn't find anything on Stellar website. I think with centralized exchanges generally provide a service where you'll deposit the Stellar to them, and then they'll give you a yield on that Stellar, for example. So it wouldn't be exactly the same as staking in particular. All right. But hopefully that answers your question, Leonardo. All right. Totally didn't realize that we're in the last 5 minutes of the stream. So guys, if you have any questions, I'll make out a last call for all of them now. Please pop them in chat. We'll get to answering those last few questions. And yeah, definitely a very spicy week. Hopefully you guys have been staying safe in the markets out there, not making any rash trading maneuvers or anything like that, and go from there. Leonardo, opening the Ledger website, I saw the banner where it says there's a problem with Solana staking to unstake and withdraw. Does it affect me if I'm staking Solana? I don't have to unstake now. Definitely, if you don't have to unstake now, definitely shouldn't. No, there wouldn't be any problem with you. I think if it's the issue that I'm expecting it to be, it'll be when you're unstaking Solana. The Ledger Live as the interface doesn't enforce rent, so you might get like an internet is down error, so something like that. So in that particular case, it's just about making sure you have enough in that address to pay for rent, in particular. Deepak, sir, how much swap fees on Ledger Live? Where did we find details about swap fees? You can go into the swap and then check the swap fees, because it can depend on who you're swapping with in particular. So if you're using a decentralized exchange, they'll have that list of how much you're paying and what you're getting there as well. So definitely check that out so you can find out the details there. That just about wraps it up for me today. Again, please don't give out your 24 words, don't get recovery phrase, don't store them online, don't put them in a password manager or anything like that. Put a piece of paper, or you can go on our website. We actually have what are they called, like metal plates that you can put your recovery phrase in. Definitely something I'd recommend if these ones are like acid proof, crush proof, things like that. So check them out. Please don't sign any weird transactions. Be really careful of when you sign transactions. Please, blind signing can be very scary. So hopefully you're clean signing everything. And yeah, stay safe in the markets and have a good rest of the week. Bye.